Hi everyone, it's Kay. I'm back with another video. And in this video I just wanted to briefly touch on the sexual assault allegations that are literally spilling out of Hollywood right now. And I wanted to discuss how these stories actually reach far beyond Hollywood. So over the past month we've heard stories about Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, Brett Ratner, and a couple others. I'm going to save Kevin Spacey for another part of this video because there's the elements are slightly different where he's concerned. None of these stories are surprising to me because sexual harassment, assault, sexual violence, all of that stuff happens to women, feminine identified people, and young girls and young boys and men as well, all the time. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what you're doing, what industry you're in, because I can simply go have a conversation with a couple of my friends and we can talk about the same things. What all of these stories really boil down to when I think about it is sexism, misogyny, rape culture, male privilege, toxic masculinity. All of those things work together to create situations where someone is a victim of sexual violence. All of these men are in positions of power and they're able to manipulate, they're able to threaten, they're able to take advantage of someone who's in a more vulnerable position. And they're also in a position to get away with it because oftentimes someone who is in a vulnerable position is unsure of how they're going to even go about telling somebody that something like that has happened to them, that they've been a victim of sexual assault, harassment, sexual violence at the hands of someone who's more powerful than them. Where the men in Hollywood are concerned, they definitely have male privilege, but then they also have class privilege as well. They're very powerful people, they're very influential people, so to go up against someone like that, who's going to believe you? Number one, do you understand the magnitude of what it is that you're trying to say? Do you understand the influence that this person has? Do you understand the number of people who are friendly with this person? Do you understand the amount of people who will cape for this person and have their back over you? Someone who's much more vulnerable, someone who's much less power, and someone who is, in comparison to them, more or less insignificant. So in turn, these men know this. They do whatever it is that they want to someone who's less powerful, and for the most part they can get away with it. But what we're starting to see now is that there really is strength in numbers when it comes to a lot of these people who are stepping up and telling their stories and sharing their stories, because they're noticing that, hey, more people are starting to pay attention to this because this person said something, and now I think that I'm comfortable enough and feel confident enough to be able to say something, and hopefully there will be some sort of recourse or some sort of justice. It's really important to notice how sexism, misogyny, and rape culture are all inextricably linked to these allegations and stories of predatory behavior, sexual assault. When sexism plays a role in a particular event, we're talking about prejudice, we're talking about discrimination, we're talking about stereotyping, and we're also talking about the inherent assumption and belief that femininity and feminine identified people are inherently inferior. And when we talk about misogyny, we're talking about the inherent dislike of and contempt for and distaste for women and feminine identified people. And I'm saying feminine identified people because there are a lot of gender non-conforming people who choose to express themselves in a way that would be typically seen or read as a little bit more on the feminine side. I'm just trying to be inclusive when I'm discussing this because from what I understand, maybe that's the energy that they're channeling that specific day. So that's just what I'm trying to say when I say that. So hopefully I'm on the right track with that. I'm trying to articulate it in a way that I understand, but it might not be coming off that way. So I have a definition here of rape culture, so I want to just read that out and then I just kind of want to tie it all together. So rape culture, a sociological concept that describes settings where rape is pervasive and normalized due to societal attitudes about gender and sexuality. Victim blaming, slut shaming, sexual objectification, denial of widespread rape, abuse, and harassment. When someone is a victim of sexual violence and the first thing that someone wants to ask them is what they were wearing, that is rape culture. So when something happens to somebody and someone is like, well, why were you there? What were you wearing? What did you do? Why did you drink so much? That is rape culture. Where these stories with Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Brett Ratner, Harvey Weinstein are concerned, I'm talking about women here specifically because the victims were women, and Even when someone does want to speak up and the person is a woman, it makes it very difficult for the woman to actually get the sensitivity and the attention that she needs in order for someone to believe what it is that she has to say. And when the victim is a boy or the victim is a man, oftentimes they don't say anything because it's an emasculating feeling. Another thing that I wanted to make mention of too is when someone actually does speak up and they're met with resistance on the other end, you're immediately silencing the person, which makes it very difficult for the next person to come out and speak up, because believe you me, there are other people. There is a next person. Even with Bill Cosby, when the women were coming out and talking about what happened to them with Bill Cosby, a lot of the people were asking the women, well, why are you talking about this now? And it's like, okay, well, if I talked about it at that time, no one would have listened to me. He was a megastar. And now that I'm talking about it, you're getting mad about the fact that I'm even mentioning it, when what we should really be paying attention to is the fact that it happened to me. People are so quick to blame the victims, but they are never quick to hold the person who committed the offense accountable. The fear of being judged, marginalized, slut-shamed, victim-blamed, the offender not being brought to justice, all of these things create a system of silence in the system of oppression where sexism is concerned, because women are afraid to speak up. Even if we think about what happened to Terry Crews too, the person who assaulted him was even more powerful and more influential than him, and he was worried about how he was going to be perceived as this big black guy for getting physical with the person that assaulted him. And then he also didn't know what to say, because he was like, I'm so shocked, I have no words for what just happened to me. I have to throw the element of race and class in there as well, because if you think about a lot of the people who are victims of sexual assault, sexual violence, who are killed, a lot of these people are people of color. Trans women of color are the most susceptible and the most vulnerable to violence and to death because of trans misogyny. Someone has an immediate contempt for the fact that this person is trans, and they hurt them or they kill them because they're so upset. That's rape culture, toxic masculinity, male privilege, everything all wrapped up into one. So with Indigenous women and girls, it's particularly unique because the element of toxic masculinity, rape culture, racism, sexism, misogyny, all of those things, all of those elements work together too. There are so many cases of missing and murdered Indigenous women that have gone unsolved, and so many of these women do not receive the necessary media coverage that they deserve. Why wouldn't people be talking about this in Canada? The number of missing black girls in the States. I want to touch on Kevin Spacey really briefly, just because I just think he handled it in such a gross way. Like, Kevin Spacey, honestly, your apology was trash. Your explanation for what happened was complete trash. I hope that you really understand what it is that you did, and I hope that you are really able to reflect on how you behaved in the past, even if you say you don't remember it. I think that your explanation, not only was it irresponsible, how you quickly then circled around to saying that you're gay and coming out in that way, I think that's incredibly dangerous, because there's already a long-standing perception about gay men and women that they are pedophiles. And I think what you did was incredibly damaging. It was a complete misstep. You didn't think it through, and obviously, because of your privileges, you really didn't think that that's what you were doing. You completely shifted the focus from the victim to the fact that you're gay. You being gay in this particular situation is irrelevant. What's more important is the fact that you assaulted a 14-year-old boy. If there are any men who end up watching this, if you're so protective and concerned about the well-being of your sisters, your daughters, your wife, sexual violence is a men's issue, it's not a woman's issue. So if you're going to police the way that girls behave around you, you're going to be concerned about where they're going, who they're with, what they're wearing, what they're doing. The same level of concern should be extended to the boys in your life, to the men in your life. If you see your friends doing something that's inappropriate, hold them accountable. Tell them that what they're doing is wrong. If you see something happening to a woman on the street, don't just walk by and do nothing. Stick up for her. Say something. More men need to hold each other accountable. I want to see more men and take each other to task about the things that they do that's wrong, that continues and perpetuates this cycle of sexual violence. If there are young men in your life, ask them about their studies, ask them about their aspirations. Don't ask them how many girlfriends they have. Stop telling girls that boys are mean to you when they like you. Teach your sons not to rape. A lot of the way that men behave and a lot of the ways that women conform to misogynistic, patriarchal beliefs and behaviors is because men created the system and we are all socialized to conform to the system. If you are afraid to speak up because you think that your friends are going to be upset with you, then what you're doing is wrong and you are a part of the problem. If you see someone doing something that is trash, let them know that what they're doing is trash. Rape is not a woman's issue, rape is a men's issue. It's up to you to help us out, help us feel a little bit more safe in this world. So that's all I have. I hope you liked the video. Please comment, share, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!